Thank you for joining us today for this edition of the North Central Farm and Ranch Stress Assistance Center webinar series presented to you by AgrAbility. My name is Paul Jones. I manage the National AgrAbility Project, which is headquartered at Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana. Our topic today is African American farmers, stress issues and solutions. And our presenter is John Jamerson from Legacy Taste of the Garden LLC and Legacy Farming and Health Group. Just a little background on USDA NIFA's Farm and Ranch Stress Assistance Network, also known as FARSAN. It was authorized through the 2008 Farm Bill, and its purpose is to provide stress assistance programs to those involved in agriculture, farming, ranching, other agriculture-related occupations. And there are 4 regional centers covering every U.S. state and territory. If you'd like contact information about those 4 regional centers, that is available on the agrability.org website. If you go to agrability.org/resources/FARSAN. Some of you may not be familiar with AgrAbility. Our program is sponsored by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and we focus on issues of disability in agriculture. Not simply physical disabilities, but also issues of farm stress and other behavioral mental health issues. Every AgrAbility project around the country is a partnership between a land-grant university and at least one nonprofit disability services organization. There are currently 20 funded state AgrAbility projects around the country, and there is one national AgrAbility project, again, that's at Purdue University in the Breaking New Ground Resource Center. Our partners on the National AgrAbility Project grant include Goodwill of the Finger Lakes, the Osteoarthritis Action Alliance, Colorado State University, and Washington State University. For more information about AgrAbility, feel free to visit agrability.org. At this point, I'm going to turn things over to John Jamerson, and he's going to give the body of the presentation. I will then return for the poll questions, and so, John, feel free to take it away.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, all right. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for who showed up for participating in this webinar with us. It is a pleasure to have this opportunity to be before you guys, and just wanted to say welcome, and just want to thank Paul and Ed and Chuck for considering me. I want to thank the efforts of the North Central Farm and Ranch Stress Assistance Center through AgrAbility for putting this on, and Secretary Vilsack and our administrating government for the American Rescue Plan that they put into play. With this being said, I'd like to thank everybody for showing up, and advance these screens to get to where we're at, and welcome you to this part of the webinar that I get to tell you guys about. I want you guys to know that it was a stressful opportunity for me to sit here and try to put this together. I thought about it, and I stayed up nights about it, said a few things about Ed and Chuck, who talked me into doing this. And it wasn't that I didn't have anything to say. It was just that this being such a serious issue, that I just wanted it to come across. And so I want this to be known that this is for everyone, the things that I'm putting out. So I don't want anyone to think that it's directed at anyone but themselves. And so it doesn't matter if you're a farmer. It doesn't matter if you are a business person, if you work for Purdue Extensions or any of the other extensions of the USDA. This is for us all, including myself. And so with that being said, I'm going to try my attempt at what I call the alchemy of levity to kind of loosen us up and get us in. So for those who are on right now, you may not get this until the end. And for those who come in later, you may understand this a little bit better at the end, but you'll have to come back and watch this first part. So here's my attempt at that. I just want to start out and just say that there was an officer who pulled up and stopped two individuals who were in a car. And when the officer pulled up to those individuals, he knocked on the window. And when the driver rolled down his window, he said, "May I help you, officer?" And the officer hit him on the shoulder and said, "You addressed me as sir." He said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Is this your car?" He said, "Yes." He hit him on the shoulder again. And he said, "You addressed me as sir." He said, "Yes, sir." "Yes, this is my car, sir." He said, "Do you have your license and registration?" He said, "Yes, I have my license and registration." He hit him again and said, "Address me as sir." He said, "Yes, sir." So he said, "I'll be right back. I'm gonna go and check your license and registration, and I'm gonna come back and talk to you then." So he went and checked his license and registration, came back, and he brought him a ticket. He said, "This is a ticket for a violation that you've committed. I want you to take this and understand it, and I want you to obey all the traffic laws from here on out." He said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Now, before you leave, don't go anywhere until I go over here and talk to the passenger." So he walks around and knocks on the passenger's window. And when the passenger rolled down his window, he went and hit him on his shoulder also. And the passenger said, "Sir, I didn't do anything wrong." He said, "I understand, but I was just trying to make your wish come true." And the passenger looked at him and said, "I don't understand." He says, "Later on down the road, you will turn to your friend over here and say, 'I wish he would have hit me on my shoulder.' So I'm making your wish come true." That's my attempt at alchemy of levity, just to loosen everybody up. If you don't get it, hopefully you'll get it by the end. Some of you might take you a while until you get home. So with that being said, I just use that as an opportunity to introduce myself, John Jamerson with Legacy Taste of the Garden, with the Legacy Farming and Health Group from Loud Station, Indiana. I got tapped on my shoulder when Ed and Chuck came and asked me to do this, because I believe that they understood that somewhere down the road, I would have said, "Man, I wish they would have asked me to do this." I questioned myself for a long time. I was like, there's so many other more qualified individuals who could have done this. Why me? And so, as they explained to me, I have a way of kind of letting everybody drop their defenses on things and being able to get a point across and opening up minds. And so here's my attempt. I'm not a professional at doing this, but I do enjoy the opportunity of discussing difficult situations and hopefully getting a positive response from it. So as we move forward, in dealing with the stresses that are common to all farmers, farming in itself is an issue that causes a lot of stress. A lot of the stresses come from dealing with your animals, dealing with your crops, dealing with the health of your animals and your crops, with the fatigue that comes from doing it. Working on the farm, farming is a very strenuous job. If there's an injury that comes, that can also lead to stress. Prices fluctuating, is hard to determine exactly what you're going to get at the end of the year on the prices and stuff. Sometimes there are tariffs, and sometimes there are just bad situations that happen, natural disasters that come about, and then even the decrease of yield that plays into these factors. Farming is such a stressful job that they say that you're 5 times as likely to being a farmer to consider suicide and have mental problems due to the stress of being a farmer. But with all things being equal, then you would have an equal effect when it comes to farmers and African American farmers. If all things were equal, you would have the same thing on both sides. The farmers will have fields that will be next to each other. The same sun that shines on one shines on the other. The same rain that falls on one will fall on the other. The seed will be similar. You should have the same yields. You should have the same or similar equipment to be able to bring everything together. So there should not be, if all things were equal, any additional effect that falls on African American farmers compared to the others. However, this is not always true because with African American farmers, they don't have, as we see with the example of the chessboard here, we don't have everything on the African American farmer side that is on all the other farmer side. They don't have the support system that was developed for them. They don't have always the opportunities presented to them that are presented to the others. They don't always have the resources or the advocates to be there. And most of all, they don't have the customer base. The customer base, even being their own community, the majority of what we call food deserts are in African American communities. So that also helps to hinder what goes on with the African American farmer, is getting their customer base to be involved. And so this brings the significance of the American Rescue Plan. And the Secretary, Tom Vilsack, he stated that, the Black and minority farmers and American Rescue Plan can represent one of the most significant pieces of civil rights legislation in decades. The importance of this is that it has been stated time and time again about the inconsistencies that have gone on. And I call this my no BS part of the presentation, which means I'm not going to bore you with stats. And so if you want to have the stats, I'm going to tell you, like I tell my children, I can tell you all the time where $1 million is, but it doesn't profit you until you go and discover it for yourself. Me telling you what the stats are, it sounds good, but until you discover it for yourself, it's not going to profit you. So I'm not going to bore you with stats right now and go through all the particulars. I'm sure that many of us have heard these before. And if you haven't, then this gives you an opportunity to go and look forward to that. But this American Rescue Plan was a plan that was designed to help the Black minority farmers and to help to relieve them with some debts and to help to put in some programs and things that could assist them and begin to help them with the racial challenges that they've been going through. There are a lot of stress that we as African American farmers have gone through. And as my brother would say, knowing is half the battle. And, there's been tons of information that is out there. And on these slides, there are those informations about what has gone on in the past and how much land we lost and how we made up 14% of the farmers and everything else. And now we're under 2% of the farmers. And even with all that being said, this rescue plan has been under attack. There's been cries of discrimination from lawmakers filing suits in the states of Texas and Wisconsin. Banks have cried foul, saying that they having to take loss of income due to these loans being paid off. We have citizens that even claim of discrimination and threaten to sue to change their racial status, which confuses me. I wouldn't think that it would be something that one would desire to have to go through the trials, the additional trials and tribulations that deal with the African American farmers. But with that being said, I always take things and I try to look at it from a different viewpoint. And so, as Secretary Vilsack has stated, that there was around 23 to 29 billion dollars that was given to farmers last year, and out of that, an estimated 80 million went to Black farmers. And so, for those lawmakers who are wanting to cry discrimination, we welcome you to the battle with the African American farmers, to join alongside them with your discrimination and make sure that we are being represented in all things, in all matters, the same thing, the same way. Make sure that there is no discrimination against us. For those banks that cry foul, our things is that it was the taxes and things from African American and African American farmers to help with your bailout years ago. And so we think that you should take that into consideration when it comes to those issues also. And we think that everyone should ensure that as this country was founded, that there's no taxation without representation, that we should have consider that it's discriminative to have less than 14% of any federal funds that doesn't go to African Americans. And I'm not getting onto this to make a big scene. I'm not into trying to tell people what to do or anything, but I'm just saying that if you're going to get on the field to holler foul or discrimination, just to let you know just how far off we are, and to understand that this is part of the stresses that stresses African American farmers, that goes above and beyond the regular farmers. And so the best way to really know about what's been going on with African American farmers are to get to meet them. So I'm going to introduce you to Mr. Norman Greer. Norman Greer is 83 years old. He's a generational farmer. He's featured in the Smithsonian African American Museum as the last remaining African American farmer who's still farming family-owned land that they own pre-Civil War. He's still working till this day. Matter of fact, I saw him on my way for this presentation, and he asked me what I was doing. I told him I was getting ready to do my presentation, and he just shook my head. He says, "Well, good luck. I don't think it's going to work." But that's his experience. Over the years, he's lost 150 acres of his land, and that was due to, through his viewpoint, due to delayed or denied loans that were given, or the interest that was charged. Said that the interest that he owed on some of his loans was 3 times the amount of what the loan was. And that's what happened to him. He lost crops and he lost cattle, and he was denied the insurance at that time that was provided to cover those things. He was also denied the Pickford Settlement. The officer who, or not the officer, but the agent that delayed his loans and charged him the additional interest and things of that nature, was also at the time of the Pickford Act or settlement, was the same the agent that reviewed what went on in his writings. He put down there that the reason why he didn't get what he wanted was because he had a bad attitude. And Norm said, "Well, what would you do if somebody told you that they were coming to take all of your land? Would you be smiling?" And he has, as he shared today, great concerns using the USDA. and the extension program due to his experience. And he feels that he's been lost in the shuffle. I forgot to mention one part. He does have OCPD. And I hope I said that right. But he's currently at the age of 83, has been on a 3-year waiting list to receive assistance to help him out with the issues that he has. And so these are part of the things that happen with African-American farmers, why they feel lost in the shuffle. You know, one would think that somebody 83 years that has OCPD should be pushed to the top. I mean, especially if they're still farming. Norm, he doesn't have any computers. We have to force him to turn his cell phone on. He's not tech savvy. And so this is part of the issues that he has with what he's doing. Let me introduce you to another farmer. This is the previous generation. Then there's a lot of those that are these senior farmers who this is their attitude and this is how they feel. They are successful with what they have. They have a lot of stuff, but Norm's equipment is over 30, 40 years old. He doesn't want to go to the USDA because he feels that they won't do anything for him. So he uses his own money to buy equipment and stuff. And so, and he can't afford the new stuff that's out there. So he's one of those who, like I said, feels lost in the shuffle. We have another gentleman from Texas, Joe Tutt. They call him Joe Collard because he's famous for his collard greens. Joe is 53 years old. He's been farming for 8 years. He farms over 200 acres. And he tells me about his experience with dealing with the USDA is that has helped him to be stressed out. And he said it's due to delayed inspections, things that he was needing to get done in a timely manner. They were delayed in order to get his refunds and things of that nature of whatever process he was going through. He talked about there was too much delays in paperwork, that there was phone calls and things that were being made, that no one returned his call, and how he had to go into the office only for the gentleman to understand that email that he said he hadn't received had been sitting in junk mail for 6 weeks. And he gave his recommendation. He says, you know, in order to help the African-American farmer not to have as much stress, is that they need to have a database to get needed information when staff refuses requests or makes gross false statements. And so this adds to the distrust. And when you have this distrust, as we spoke about earlier with the all things being equal, you don't have that support system. You don't have those things that you need to have. And so these are the issues that Joe has. Here is my son, DeAnthony Jamerson. He's been in the agricultural field for 5 years now. He's a senior at Tennessee State University in agribusiness. Some of his experiences that he says that stresses him is that it's taken him several times over 7 months to get a loan completed. He's currently in the process of trying to do one, and since he turned the stuff in, it was 3 weeks later before he got a response, and then they tell him that they need his taxes all the way back to 2017, and so this is another delayed response time. And so these loan things are something that is significant for farmers when the average farmer is taking anywhere from 15 to 30 days. As we can see that there's tends to be a opportunity of helping people out. And so when he is going through this, these are some of the issues that he has. He said he's visited the office and asked for information and was told to, he can find it on USDA.gov. He said that he's been misinformed about information about socially disadvantaged farmers programs and the percent of upfront money for new and socially disadvantaged farmers. He's been delayed in getting into programs, benefits. Sometimes instead of him getting it at the beginning of the season, he doesn't get it until mid-season or at the end of the season of that year. He says the loans that he's received have been accelerated loans, to where if he, being a new farmer, gets a $25,000 loan, he was asked to pay it back in a year and to put up his farm as collateral. And so, he didn't feel comfortable with that, and he opted out of that. He said he felt like he was set up for failure. He was just recently featured in the Farm Bureau, My Indiana Home magazine this past week. So I told him I would throw that in for him today. So I'm proud of him and the things that he's doing. And understand, these are just issues that are out there so that we know what's going on. And let's talk about equity versus equality. Equity is a lot of times not understood correctly. As we see through the visual aid that I have up here on the right, where you have equality. That's where everybody gets the same thing. And as we can see that there's a fence in front of them, and not everybody is able to see the same. Equity is giving each individual what they want to be able to have the same opportunity. In this one here, it shows in reality, there's certain individuals, those who are the bigger ones that can see without, they have more assistance than those that have the least ability to see. And it appears that they're in the hole. But in actuality, all of them should be without the barrier that is before them. And so our thing is, we want everyone to understand is that we're not just out speaking for African-American farmers, but we're out to promote all farmers. We're all in the same boat. I can't say any one group shouldn't have more than any other, because if I say that this group shouldn't have it, then I'm saying that none of the farmers should have it in actuality. So we support them all. These are some of the myths that we point out that are about African-American farmers, and that's that the USDA has resolved civil rights complaints and that they've fallen to record lows. Myth number 2 is that the USDA has resolved the funding disparities between Black and white farmers. That's still an issue. And then the third myth is that the Pickford Settlement has closed a painful chapter in our collective history. And although that did bring to light some information, that was back in 1995, 25 years ago when that took place. And as we can see from these farmers, 2 of them that have been farming for less than 10 years, they're still going through a lot of the same things that we're going through. So that didn't close a painful chapter, that just revealed a painful chapter. And so we would just like for everybody to understand that, we're still in this struggle. This American Rescue Plan is not something that is going to resolve the problem. It is like for a farmer, like putting ether into your tractor when you get ready to fire it up the first time after it's been sitting all winter. It's just enough to get things going, to loosen things up, but it's not going to get you too far. And so, when we see a problem, we try to figure out what the solutions are. And so there comes 5 solutions that I believe will help with the farmers and stuff. And that's these 5 things are restitution, which restitution means, it's some measures to serve and restore those who have been gone through violations. This is nothing new. This is nothing uncommon. It happens all day. We see it all the time. In football games, if there's somebody who goes and tackles a receiver before he can catch the ball, there's a penalty. And so they get to advance the ball to the point of the foul. In basketball, there's a hard foul. They gets 2 shots in and the ball if it's a technical foul. So there are common things that we see all the time. So we don't want this to seem like this is something that we're just asking for that is uncommon. There should be compensation for damages and stuff. And I believe that's just what the current administration is trying to do. There's should be rehabilitation. And I have those who argue with me about this, about rehabilitation. Some of them say that you have to be habilitated first to become rehabilitated. But with that being said, that's a little humor again. Rehabilitation deals with the medical, psychological, and social services and legal assistance that's needed. With a lot of our elderly farmers having heirs farms and things of that nature, there's legal issues that need to be given there for the social services that need to go along, and the psychological effect of having gone through this from generation to generation. And there should be some type of satisfaction, which means that, tell the truth about what's going on. Search for the hidden things that, no one understood, and try to bring back to life this area of farming. This is where the majority of our people were at. And I believe that they weren't just brought here because they didn't know anything about farming. I believe that they were agronomists to begin with. And so I think that this is a part of our culture and who we are as a people. And so I think that this is something that we need to get back out into also. And then there should be a guarantee of non-repetition, which means that there should be some control given to the African-American farmers. They should have some type of control over what's happening. They should have some type of control over the security. They should have some type of control over the judiciary process of things, over the services and the rights that are given. And these things should be put in place to make sure that these issues don't reoccur and happen again. So let me tell you briefly about Legacy Farming and Health Group. We were just a group that started in 2017. We represent well over 35 states now. We have Zoom meetings on the first and third Thursday of each month. And we are in collaborations to gain access to the resources for the farmers and stuff. So we try to introduce them and bring them to that information. Our objective is for socially disadvantaged and veteran farmers to increase their numbers and to introduce them to the programs and get them more involved in the USDA programs, grants, scholarships, and loans. And then we also have special training on innovative processes and technology. We try to make it work. We go to the grassroots level. And we try to teach anyone, if this is where you're going to be working, if you're going to try to be working with the African-American farmers, this is why we have to go to the grassroots, because we have to build that customer base for them. And so we have to understand that we who are in this process and working, regardless of where we are, being a farmer or not, that we are a tool. And I go with the old concept that if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach him to fish, you feed him for life. And so we have to teach our communities and everything to be able to work together. We try to empower the leaders in all of us. We try to build trustworthy relationships with them. These are individuals we work with in Indianapolis and Chicago, and we try to connect the farmers and stuff with their communities. And as I said, we have this going on all across the nation and everything with the folks that we're working with. We try to partner with different organizations, anyone who is trying to further the cause for farmers or anything that wants to support the farmers. We try to support them. So the National Black Farmers Association is a legacy farming health group, AgrAbility as Purdue Extension, which is one of our partners that we partner with. The Federation for Southern Cooperatives, local organizations, churches, groups, and hospitals, and COBRA, your HBCUs. These are all the people that we partner with. And I'm throwing this out here not so that you guys can go up and say, oh, well, Legacy Farming and Health is doing such a good job, but to also just let you know that for those who say that we can't find anybody or we don't know anybody, I'm just throwing names out there, that there should be plenty of folks that you work with. And so these are the different groups that we worked with over the past few years. Here's our Legacy Life Project that we do, that is part of the 2501 grant. And these are some of the different groups and farmers and stuff that we work with in that progress, in that process. And so now we come to a time of what I call self-reflection, where we sit back and we just like, okay, he's thrown out quite a bit of stuff. Where do we go from here? How do I take this in and how do I process this? And so just give him a moment, because as I said, this is for each and every individual. And I know some people came on looking to get certain information, but if you're not prepared to receive that information, then the information does you no good. And so that's why I say this becomes a personal journey at this point. And so I have an individual who I work with. He's someone who buys fresh vegetables and stuff, and he has his own restaurant and stuff that he's getting ready to open up in Indianapolis. His name is Corey McDaniel. And he posted this the other day, and I thought that it really pointed to how I was feeling at the time. And so I asked him if it was all right to share his information. And he said, by all means. And I'll read it to you. He says, I'm getting to the point where it's hard to have a normal conversations with people. My emotions seem so logical. My logic seems to control my emotions. So I'm standing at a point of awareness that is beautiful and painful at the same time. And at this state, I can see the lies of reality. It really doesn't exist. Just your own individual perception of it does. That perception is simply a collection of experiences that we have encountered, meaning without the same experience as someone else, you can never understand someone else's reality. When I hear people speak, the volume of the words spoken are drowned out by the intentions to do so. This is where compassion and the ability to understand, value, and appreciation people where they are and for who they are is needed. Awareness is not something that you can turn off. The older I get, the more separated and disconnected I feel. And the louder her call gets. Jamaica, Jamaica, I hear you calling me in the daytime, and I see you every night when I sleep. One day you will look for me and I will be gone. And the name of his company is the Food Architect in Indy. And so it really struck me with that. As a matter of fact, I was in Jamaica. I just got back from there last night after going to a wedding there. And he wrote this while I was there. And I was like, man, that's about how I felt. And when I was thinking how I just needed to get away just to clear my thoughts in my head. And so this was a reflection, a time for self-reflection. my wife, who is, in the next generation of farming with her father, and in between him and her son, this is what she had to say. She said, there's always a why for Black farmers. There's always a why the application was late, why there's no more funds, why no loans for that, why there's no assistance, why we don't get involved, why programs for underserved are not made known. And then she asked, well, what is your why? Why we don't get why we don't get thorough assistance to get the application in on time? Why we don't get explained what is needed to obtain the funds? Why we haven't gotten explained what loans are available and how to use them? Why we are not involved in programs, and why we're not aware of the programs for underserved. And so, and that was her thing. And she was writing this not just to the Black farmers, but also to those agents and stuff that assist them, that there's a reason for all of these things. There's a reason why. And then there's also your reason why, what have you done or have not done to assist and things of that nature? Why haven't you asked that question? Why haven't you pushed the envelope further to get the information that you need, or to give the information that is needed? And so we come to, what do we do? In order to make all things equal, we have to have the same customer support system that's independently for the African American farmers. The system that we're in now is about restoration, not alteration. It's not working well for the African American farmer. And so to try to keep putting those parts together that don't fit together, are not working together, something either needs to be added to it, or it needs to be redesigned to fit and to work better for the African American farmers. And with that, we need to spend our money with African American businesses. These are our number one customer bases. We need to support the Black organizations that are out there, or the African American organizations that are out there. Don't just call the NAACP or National Black Farmers Association or the Federation, Southern Federation of Co-ops. Become members of those things. Don't just use their services or call them to get information, but support those groups. Make sure that there's plenty of funding for HBCUs. I read an article just recently on, I believe it was, I want to say it was Tennessee State, but I'm not sure. But it was talking about how they had lost over $1 billion in the past decade or so. And that was because money that should have been appropriated for them was said that it wasn't available for them, but it was available for other schools. And so we need to make sure that those schools are funded, because those are the schools, such as the land grant schools, that help support the Black farmers. If we say that we don't know, and we don't know how to get in contact with African Americans and African American farmers, then we need to support advertisement in those areas of African American media. And we need to create those partnerships with African American businesses. I'm so thankful that Ed and Chuck and Paul reached out and were willing to work with me at the time. Where I'm at, the things that I'm doing, the things I'm showing about Legacy Farming and Health Group, that was greatly due to our partnership with them and we've got to do a lot of great things over the past few years. And I hope that we're able to do a lot more. So now the time has come. The officer's walking around the car and he's getting ready to tap you on your shoulder. It's time to make your wish come true. I know that there's someone out there who's saying, I wish somebody would have told me this information. I wish somebody would have given me an opportunity to do something. I wish I knew what the problem was or how I could help. But I just want you to take this into consideration while you're wishing that you know and giving you that opportunity to make your wish come true. That the issues that we're facing, that they're not so high that someone has to go up and bring it down to you. And it's not so far away that somebody has to go across to bring it back. It's not too deep to where somebody has to go down below to bring it back up to you. But the issue that we're facing is very near, and it's within your heart. And so if you have the heart to help not just the African American farmers, but help all the farmers, then we can truly help with the stress of all the farmers, because it is truly an issue that all farmers have. For them to be 5 times as likely for suicide is as a desperate cry for help. And so we need to do the best that we can. And that's where we're at today. With that, I'd just like to thank you guys for taking the opportunity to listen to me. And I'm open for any questions.
Thanks so much, John. You tackled a lot of challenging topics, and you did it in a way that all kinds of people can understand what you're saying. So we know it was a challenge for you, and we thank you for challenging us.
Okay, thanks, guys. Let me share my screen here. Let's see. Come on. Okay, that was the last question. All right. Paul, is my screen good?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, very good. Started telling this in. I guess the first question, since it's up there, was just a clarification on Mr. Greer. You said OCPD, John.
I think it's OPD or something like that. It's a respiratory.
Okay.
That he had. And you have to forgive me. I wrote this up. Like I said, I was getting ready to head out of town to Jamaica, and I was trying to. That's why when I was looking, I was like, OCPD. I don't think that's correct.
I'm seeing some COPD pop up.
Yeah,
chronic obstructive
now,
pulmonary disorder, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. That was just a clarification that somebody had asked for. Okay, let's move to the next. Okay, what practical steps could the USDA take to rebuild the trust with African American farmers?
I honestly think that getting behind the current administration and the efforts that they're doing right now with the American Rescue Plan, part of the practical steps are you can't come to someone else's house and tell them how to design their house, what they need to eat, and what they need to do, and everything that they would like there. You have to involve the African American farmer. So the African American farmer needs to have some say-so with rebuilding that trust, And so, and you have to, that trust has to be sincere. We don't want to have something where we're worried in 2 years, 4 years, 6 years down the road that things will go back to the way it was. And so that's part of what is needed. I think that at a 5-step plan for the remedy of working to make sure that there's no repetitiveness, satisfaction, rehabilitation, compensation, and restitution, that those things will, by implementing that into what you do through the USDA, that would help.
Okay, appreciate that input. You mentioned the Pickford Settlement a few times. Could you give us a kind of a brief overview of what that? It's been a few years. Kind of give us a brief overview of what that consisted of.
Yeah, that was something that was brought on by Dr. John Boyd and the National Black Farmers Association, where they went and talked about the discrepancies of what was taking place with the African American farmers and the USDA, and how the practices at that time was, so discriminatory that they agreed for a settlement. Part of that settlement, I believe, was supposed to be a payoff of the loans and things of that nature. And from the way I understand it, and I'm not 100% sure on this, so as I tell people, don't take my word for it, go out and research it yourself. But I believe that part of what is happening with this American Rescue Plan, the debt settlement, is stemming from that, because from what I hear, there was a lot of discrepancy on how that was supposed to take place, and that was 25 years ago.
Okay. So the current program really, it may reflect issues with the Pickford Settlement, but this current program is a standalone, has nothing to do with that original. Okay. 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 I think, and I copy and paste these, so I have to interpret a little bit. Are there same sorts of extra stressors experienced by farmers of color, or farmers who are indigenous and people of color? So I think compare indigenous farmers to the experiences Native American or other indigenous groups might. Are there similar types of issues?
I believe that for the most part there are, the same infrastructures and stuff that are neglected on the African American farmer side, I believe are the same there. I know a few, but I haven't done in-depth conversation with them to say that they are exactly the same. I'm sure that they will probably have a few other things that they might throw in, or we might have a few extra on our side that doesn't apply to them. So, but I do believe that they also have extra stressors that they have.
Okay, very good. Okay, could you provide a list of Black businesses or organizations to send USDA information? So I'm interpreting this as, is there things, who do we share information with, or how do we share information with USDA about Black businesses and organizations? Or
okay, let me see could you provide a list of Black businesses or organizations to send USDA information? So it's kind of a weird way to put it. I don't know if they want the information to be sent to the Black farmers, or the Black businesses, or the businesses and organizations to send information to the USDA.
yeah, I'm not sure either. And if whoever submitted this question would like to send in a clarification, that'd be great. We'll try to. But
yeah, and if you're looking to send information to Black businesses, I would do a suggestion of, don't just send information just to be. It's going to be looked at as junk mail. So, so go in and make personal contact, and get to know the people, and that's the best way to get in and to get results. We can always just stand on the corner or on the side of the highway and hold up a sign and say, call this number. So, but make contact with them.
Okay. Paul, you said I saw a note pop up on my screen. I can't see the chat. If you said there was a clarification, if you want to clarify that last question, that'd be great.
Clarification was to send USDA information, to send USDA I'm sorry, I'm not clarifying very much, to send USDA information to the businesses for outreach efforts in order, I think, to inform the businesses of USDA opportunities.
Okay. And I would say, once again, get with Black media, Black radio stations, Black magazines, newspapers. But understand this is that there's been such a disconnect that, as I'm suggesting, there needs to be someone there that can help to bridge the gap, because there's going to be questions, there's going to be skepticism. We at Legacy Farming and Health Group, we would love to assist in any way that we can, and point out in any direction, being assistance to anything that we can help in that manner also.
Okay. Next one is I think more of a comment or recommendation that came in regarding the topic of the underfunding of HBCUs. Looks like a PBS program. I'm not sure whether it's I assume it's probably a video of some sort at this address, theft at a scale that is unprecedented behind the underfunding of HBCUs. So just something to refer to and take a look at for more understanding of that issue.
Yeah, I'll have to get that at myself.
Okay. This one, I tried to answer this one for you. I hope I did it right. How do we access the Zoom meetings for Legacy Farming and Health Group?
Yes, just reach out to us from there, and we will put you on our mailing list when we send out our invites, and go from there. So yeah, just reach out to that link there. There should be a page on there on contact us. Tell them that you would like to get involved with our third Thursdays or our first and third Thursdays Zoom meetings.
Yeah, go to the -lifeproject.com. I think there's also a calendar on that front page, John, that somebody can click right on and get linked directly into those Zoom meetings as well. So yeah, I checked it out while you were when the program or the question came in. Starts out with a great compliment, but we do have a couple questions in there for you. Okay. What an inspirational presentation. I'd be interested in knowing the best way for someone with a background in teaching and communication to get involved in educating and helping farmers navigate the system. Being well-intentioned is not enough. How do we connect and build trust with people who need our skills? So how do people like Paul and I help?
Well, as I said, you got to go in to the grassroots level. What I've discovered, with what we do, we work with different organizations in Evansville, Indiana, Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Gary, Chicago, a few other places that just Legacy Taste of the Garden works with. Like I said, with the other groups that we have in California and Georgia and Virginia and Florida, Texas, they all have different organizations that they work with. But just speaking of myself and our business, we work with those individuals. You have to go in not trying to impose on them what you want them to have. be open-minded enough, be humble enough to go in and ask them what they want. And what I mean by that is I deal with the farmers markets a lot. And what people like in Evansville is different than what people like in Indianapolis. And so to go and say that a one shoe fits all, that's not going to work very well. And so just go in, be humble enough, share information, and then sit back and listen, and see how to adjust from there.
Okay. Okay, this is a compliment. Don't see a question in there, so thanks for hosting this important conversation. That appears to be all of the questions that I have. Paul, have any more popped up in chat? I tried to open another computer to see the screen, and I don't see any chat on it. And do we have any others in the chat box?
Mostly they were compliments about the session. I can continue to check through. I think we did have one question that was requested to be asked verbally. I will just check that real quick. Kenesha Rose Davison had indicated she would ask a question verbally, so I will unmute her. I think you're unmuted now, Kenesha.
Thank you, Paul. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you, Mr. Jamerson, for this presentation. I've been working in the space of ag health and safety for about 5 years, and I'm just glad to hear the conversation about diversity in ag, looking at Black farmers and those stresses and challenges. And I was just wondering, for both you and AgrAbility, kind of what was next in this space. What other plans do you all have for working on, I guess, issues of access, reducing stress, and just, I guess, more diversity in our ag conversations in this diversity space?
Well, I think that was more toward Ed and everybody. As far as legacy, Taste of the Garden and legacy farming and health, we are always on the continual dealing with whatever's on the latest issues, helping folks with doing grants. We help with the heirs property. We help with technical training, with education. We try our best to direct as much as we can and to help with the process that we can with individuals. So to say that there's any one step that's next, we have them in our meetings, that we have in our Zoom meetings where we're touching on those things. And you can go to the Life Project, the Life Project .com and look on there, and it should have a list of things that we're doing personally with that. And I know that we have something that we're working with Ed and FAMU on with a conference that we got coming up a little later on this year, and a few other things. But that's it as far as what we're doing.
Thank you.
Okay. John, I saw another one just come in that I think it was similar to a previous one, but a previous question. But what could individual FSA extension staff, what can they do to rebuild the trust among the African American farmers in their own community, in their service areas? What can we do as individuals?
Just reach out. I mean, as I've said before, I mean, a lot of times when I go in to do things, I don't go in and explain to anyone who I am or what group I'm with or anything else, because I want to go through the experience. I want to feel the joy, or I want to feel the heartbreak that I'm going through, because it's hard for me to go up there and come in and say, I'm John Jamerson, I'm with this and I'm doing this, and everybody's like, oh, okay, well, let me do the things as I should. I try to go in and just see how things are, just as me being Joe Farmer, so to speak, and see how things come about. So my suggestion would be sincere in what you do. If you don't information, give the information. It shouldn't be a I don't feel like it, or I don't think that somebody deserves it, or you should try to, as we would say in dealing with the traumas that people go through, try not to re-traumatize the individual. And by saying that, I mean, don't give them something that is a turnoff, to where if as with my son, when he went in and asked about a program and he was told, oh, I don't know where that is, just go look it up on USDA.gov. And it's like, why am I in the office? I could have just stayed at home and played on the computer. Mm-hmm. That's what I wanted to do. So, give them the same attention that you would give one of your loved ones. And I think everything would be fine. It's not hard. It's not hard to do.
Treat somebody like you'd want to be treated yourself.
That's it.
Okay.
Well, I think we're a little bit over time. We appreciate everybody sticking around. And again, John, for all your efforts in preparing for this and presenting, I think this is not only valuable for the people that were able to participate today, but for those that will be able to view it in the future. And again, John and the LIFE team will be presenting another webinar on Tuesday, June the 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to participate in that and you're not yet registered, go to the agrability.org website and the National AgrAbility Training Workshop link. Again, thank you to everybody who joined us today for this session. You should be receiving information about the archived version. So with that, I will say goodbye and wish you all a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.